So first off, my name is Chris Morrison. I'm the founder of Fatherhood Forge. And since 2012, I've been in conversation with men in one way, shape, or form about how to be the best version of themselves, how to be better partners, how to show up for their kids. And really, it's about how to honor the person that's been inside of them this entire time.
Let me talk about Fatherhood Forge, what experiences made me realize the path that needs to be created to help other fathers become a dad.
All lived experience for me, right? It's coming back home, bringing men through my journey, and so that they can see themselves and see parts of how they can do better in their life. So there's things that I find that a lot of us go through. A lot of guys have the same, they look over and their kids looking at them, and there's some level of like anger or disgust that's there that is just, why? You get to this, why? What happened? What did I do that has him looking at me like that? And then there is the words that we said that we would never say. We catch ourselves mid-sentence and we're like, dang, I swore I would never say that. And it's the same line that your old man used to say. And for me, even worse than that was that I heard them coming back out of my kid's mouth. So, and then there's the next part where a lot of guys that I work with, a lot of guys that I talk to, they have to park in their own driveway. And they sit there and they take that breath and they steel themselves to walk through their own door where they know that there's going to be a battlefield. At least that's what's going on in their head. And they feel the moment they walk through, their whole family tenses up. And then a lot of guys that I talk to, a lot of guys I've worked with, they're all either going, how do I say this? Right? They take on a little bit more work than they know that they need to. They go to that networking event, that work event, because really going and closing that next deal is so much easier than going home and working with what's going on in their family. And each one of those are lived experiences that I've lived. They're experiences that are from guys that I've worked with. And I just want every guy to know, like, we're here for you. I've lived it. Guys I've worked with have lived it. And you don't have to do this alone. The Forge really has these three core segments. First, there's the refining phase. That's where you help dads burn away all those old labels, those non-useful thoughts, the shame, the guilt, everything that's been holding them back. Then there's the shape phase to choose who they really want to become, creating themselves as the father they want to be. And finally, there's the temper phase, which is all about building that lasting strength, choosing peace over the distraction, and really becoming that steady, grounded dad every single day. So let's dive into each of those segments and talk a little bit more about how they work. The first phase is refine, right? We look at all the ways that we talk about ourselves to ourselves, the non-useful thoughts that we sit there and we go on in our own head. Most of the time, most guys don't even know that they're doing it. I had this saying, I think it came from this podcast, The One You Feed. If our inner voice sat next to us in a hotel lobby, how much time would it take before we realized that we would never want to talk to it again? And it's just such a powerful visual for me to think about how much negativity we're speaking to ourselves, right? And so there's other things that we also look at, the labels that we've allowed ourselves to live out of. For me, I told myself that I was violent since I was a little kid, and it wasn't something that I chose. It had been put on me, right? And so there's non-useful thoughts, there's labels, and then we look at the anger, the shame, the guilt, the things that we have done that we can allow ourselves to let go so that they don't define who we are anymore. From there, we get into shape, right? Shaping is about choosing who we are. Every moment, I have a choice. Do I want to move towards love, peace, integrity, intention? Or do I want to allow some of the things that come through? Do I want to allow myself to be angry? Do I want to allow myself to be all of these things that are not who I want to be? And I can craft that. I write it down as my document of who am I declaring myself to be each and every day, each and every moment. And then we look at also, what is my purpose, right? Like, it is very clear to me that my purpose is to be the best dad that I can be. and serve every dad so that they can be that too. And helping guys find their purpose is one of the most important and attractive things that guys can do. A man without a purpose is a very dangerous man, not just to himself, but to his family, to his partner. And so when we help guys find purpose, it shifts everything. And then the next aspect of that is aligning our values. How much, what do we say we value versus how do we align our time to it is a very important practice. If I say that being a father is the most important thing for me, it's is one of my highest values, well, how much time am I doing that? So then we move into temper, right? Temper is the third phase, and temper is just the daily process of rebuilding each day who it is that I say that I am, allowing myself to be the grounded presence in my parenting, in my partnership, understanding that simple things that are very hard to do, but simple to understand, that if I am being the person I want to be, loving, caring, compassionate, kind, and I have something that I need to share with my kids, that I share with my partner, their emotional response is not my responsibility, right? To understand that silence is a slow death. I need to be able to speak up. I need to be able to talk about what's going on in my life, not co-emote with people. She's feeling feelings, so I need to feel feelings. No. This is how this made me feel. This is how I'm going to deal with it. I just want to let you know. Letting people know that you have emotions and you can talk about them. So that is the temper aspect, making sure that we day by day do something that doesn't allow the non-useful thoughts to take over the wheel again, the values, the anger, the shame, and the guilt that we've lived most of our life on, and arrest those parts that have for so long been our story. It just comes down to, what kind of dad do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be? Do you want to lead with irritation, irrational anger, being irresponsible, checking out through video games, through work, through affairs? Or do you want to create the most loving, caring, compassionate father that you can? Do you want to, what story do you want your kids to tell? Do you want your kids to say, yeah, I had a dad, he was in the room, he paid the bills, but I really don't know anything about him? Or, yeah, every time my dad came home, man, we were in for it. Or would you rather have it be, man, my dad got me. Every time he got home, he listened to me, he heard me, we talked about our day, and he knew my favorite color, my friends' names. He was one of the best friends I've ever had. I love my dad, and I know he loved me. Today, at one point in my life, I'd been called the monster. The monster would come home, and everything would freeze. Because my ability to pull the energy out of a room was like a black hole. And instead of lighting up my family, I would leave nothing but ash. There was this one time, and me and my ex-wife were in the kitchen, and we were fighting like we'd never fought before. And I just remember looking around, and I see the kids' lunches sitting there, half made, and her going back and forth, and we're getting louder, and we're getting meaner, and we've gone past trying to solve or resolve an issue, and now I think really for the first time we're just saying things to hurt, to cut, to wound. And my son walks in, puts his hand on his mom, and he points at the door and he says, "Just go, Dad, just go." And the look on his face of disgust, of anger, just that contempt. I knew in that moment that the nickname that they had given me was true. I was the monster. And it was in that moment that I knew something had to change. I did not want them growing up with that as their story. Yeah, my dad was a monster. Didn't know he was angry, he was volatile, he cheated our mom. He wasn't the greatest guy. He took care of us. Yeah, we had nice cars and we went on cool vacations, but that's all I know. And in that moment of my son looking at me, I knew that something had to change. And over the next couple of days, things got a little worse. And it just got to a point where it was me, the monster, and the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, source. And it made it very clear to me that either I keep going down the road that I was on and I'd probably end up in a jail cell, or I could choose something different. And when I said, well, universe, what is that? I said, you have to choose first. You don't get to know now. So I made the decision. I made the decision to do something different. And through that, change didn't happen overnight. Change just didn't happen in that instant. The next 2 years I spent working on myself, talking with every person that I could, from mindset to men's development to inmates to people from all over the world, trying to be the best parents that they could be. And over that time, what came to me was the Fatherhood Forge and the analogies, all of the beautiful symbolisms in that, refine, pulling out all of the impurities, shape, creating what we want it to be, temper, repeated heating and cooling to set that edge and make it everything we want it to be. If you're looking for something different, if you're looking to connect with your family, if you're looking to be the best dad, the best man that you can be, I want to invite you to the Forge. I want you to step into the fire with me, because I've got you, my man. The real and only question is, are you man enough to join me? Because the Forge is lit. I am here. Your brothers are here just waiting. And we welcome you at any time. So please look down below, book a call, and let's find the guy that's been there this whole time.